All right, Coach, we're going to start with Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic and then Cameron Cox.
Yeah, Coach, just real quick, just checks and balances. For seeing Memphis's game was postponed, just making sure all the rest of your guys are good for tonight's game.
Yep, we're all good.
Okay. And just to follow up, I didn't know if you have even followed Coach Silas's history. Obviously, his dad, obviously was a coach. So I'm just curious your thoughts on him and maybe the rise that he's made in becoming an NBA head coach.
I mean, his family is, somewhat NBA blue blood in the respect of his dad. His history as a lifer, and Steven's been the same way. And he's someone that I have gotten to know over the past few years, and he's just been diligent about being really good at, every place he's been, and so well respected. And it's tougher, I think, for guys when your dad is like Coach was, because there's a lot more pressure on you. And so the way he's handled himself from the time I've met him and even before that, I just have a lot of respect for him. And he's handled the situation here in Houston just like I thought he would, So I'm just glad he's getting a chance to show what he can do as a leader. And everybody respects the person that he is, his demeanor, his character. And I've gotten to know him through other people, and we've had a relationship the past few years, and he's just a really good dude. And we're seeing now he's a really good coach.
Next is Cameron Cox with 12 News, followed by Kellen Olson.
Hey, Coach, speaking of history, how did you guys handle the inauguration today? Is that something you guys watched or talk about as a team? And if you have any personal thoughts that you would like to share as you were watching it today, if you did.
No, we didn't talk about it much at all as a team, but I got back to my room and saw, even before that, I was watching this morning just to see the President Trump leave the White House, and also see President Biden. I think he was headed to church, and just seeing that transition. And then I got back to my room today and watched the walk to the White House, which I thought was really cool. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but I do see a level of hope in our country. And that's what I saw today. Before we can take care of all these systemic problems that we have, I think we have to be united better. And it looks like we're going to have a chance to do that. And because of that, I think we're going to be able to move the needle as it relates to, COVID and race relations and some of the problems that were already present in our country. And, like I said, I don't have a particular political party, but I do believe in principles. And President Biden, he seems to have a lot of principles that can unify us, and he seems to have the qualities that people want to follow. And so that from my perspective, it was pretty cool to watch that, and then to see an African-American woman in that position has to inspire so many people, especially women in our country.
Next is Kellen Olson with Arizona Sports, and then Michael Shapiro.
Hey, Coach. Christian Wood's got a great story of bouncing around a couple teams and finally breaking out. He's having a huge year this year. What are your thoughts on defending a skill set like that, where he's very active around the basket, but he can also stretch the floor and take a dribble if he needs to?
Yeah, I mean, you got to account for a number of things in his package: shooting, putting it down, activity. DeAndre understands, matching up with him is a challenge. And you got to be physical with a guy like that. You can't give him easy looks at the basket. When I watch film, It's like teams don't believe he can shoot the ball because he seems to end up at the top of the key wide open a lot. He can knock that shot down, but he also can pump fake and get to the basket. So I've said this to you guys before. If you're in this league, you can play. And if you get paid as much money as he got paid, you can really play. And so we know that and respect the heck out of his game.
Next is Michael Shapiro with Sports Illustrated, followed by Brendan Clean.
Hey, Coach. You're obviously no stranger to working with Chris Paul. How would you say your relationship has changed, over the last decade since you worked with him?
That's pretty broad. Pretty broad question. How has it changed? I mean, it's just improved, but it was always good. I think when he left New Orleans, I realized, really good players make your stuff look good as it relates to schematics. And I had an appreciation for him when he was gone, but we stayed in contact a lot over the years, and we competed against each other so much. I guess the story that sums up our relationship, one of the stories was I was coaching in New Orleans like the next year, and I was walking the sidelines, and a fan took a peanut that was in the shell still, like old school, the way we used to eat them, and he threw it and hit me in the back of the head. And I realized what had happened. I went and picked the peanut up, and then they kind of stopped the game. And the fans pointed out who did it, and the guy was hiding behind his seat, as if nobody was going to see him hiding behind the seat in front of him. And so all of a sudden, I look up and I see Jared Jack, who was on our team, trying to go into the crowd to get the guy because he realized what happened. So our coaches grabbed Jared. But then I looked over and Chris was going the same way. And I realized, how close we were, and I was like, in my head, I think I was like, grab Chris, because I know Chris, he's a bulldog. And it just told me how much he cared for me. And I realized, you have an effect on players. And, anybody that messes with you, like they may never tell you, but their actions speak louder than words. And so that story is just a unique one for sure. I kept that peanut for about 2 years in a bag, and then it just kind of disintegrated. But I always think about Chris and Jared Jack as it relates to that story, and the guy who hit me with a peanut in the back of the head.
Thank you, Coach.
Next up is Brendan Clean with Bright Side of the Sun, and then Dwayne Rankin.
It's a little bit of a tough one to follow, Coach, but my question is just, going up against a team like Houston that just went through some change. Do you ever worry that they can kind of catch you guys off guard because you might not know what they are yet? Or how do you kind of approach that?
Yeah, just for us, it's a great question. You have to stick to your system and your principles because with a new team, a dynamic player like Vic, you really don't know. They could have put in a new play yesterday, a new wrinkle. And so for us, it's always about our principles, sprint and turn and transition, keeping the ball in front of us. And for us right now, it's like our primary and secondary defense has been pretty good. We've just given up way too many cuts and offensive rebounds, timely offensive rebounds that have hurt us. And, if we can just finish out possessions with a rebound, that can cover any offensive scheme, especially when you force a miss. And so I think that for us, when you're facing someone or a team like this who may change a few things for the players they have, trusting our system and being consistent in that can help us.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, last question is Dwayne Rankin with the Arizona Republic.
Yeah, I just want to just make sure now, was Chris on a different team or was he on your team when you got hit in the head with the peanut?
No, he was with the Clippers.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. That's what I thought I heard, but I just wanted to make sure that that's what you saw. So when you're seeing Chris come on, are you like, Who do I grab first, Jared or Chris?
No, I couldn't grab anybody. I was laughing actually because I turned and told the fans, I'm like, next time just throw money. Like, don't hit me in the head with a peanut. Like, this is juvenile. I was actually astounded at the aim, you know, because he was about 6 or 7 rows back and he just bam hit me right in the back of the head. And the fans around him were like, hey, coach, he's right here. Because we don't do that here. He's right here. He was trying to hide, and the fans called him out. I thought it was kind of funny until the players were, you know, Jared is somebody who's from my neighborhood, actually. His dad used to work at the rec where I played. So Jared just, you know, he's one of those guys, he wouldn't let anybody mess with me. But when I saw Chris getting upset, I was like, grab him, because, you know, Chris doesn't play.
Thanks, Coach.